We're Britt and Mike, and this is our dog, Leah. We're converting our 2021 Ford Transit van into a home on wheels. Last week, we finished building our ceiling, and we're ready to finish up our floor, but before we do that, we're installing the only slightly embarrassing luxury that is a heated floor system. Hi everyone!
Hey guys!
Welcome back to our van build series. We are on episode 17 and we are starting on our finished flooring this week. We decided that we do want to put in a heated floor system in the hallway, so before we do our flooring, we are going to put in our Quiet Warmth floor mat.
For our Quiet Warmth kit, we got the Quiet Warmth floor mat. We got the Quiet Warmth thermostat because we know that it will work well with the Quiet Warmth mat, and a big roll of underlayment, as well as 2 heat sensors for the floor. One is kind of just for extra, just in case one goes out. The other one's already installed. We don't have to rip anything out to install it. Overall, the total price for the entire kit that we got, well, it wasn't really a kit, I had to build it, was $300 approximately. And then the mat itself is super thin. Not sure if they can see it. There we go. It says it's like 0.016 inch thick mat, so it's super thin, like less than 200ths of an inch. The mat is also fairly low energy consumption. It works on 120 volts. It operates at 156 watts at only 1.3 amps. So all huge pluses when installing a heated floor in your van.
This roll comes in a 18-inch by 10-foot roll. Our van is about 13 feet from the passenger seat back to the back of the van, and our bed is going to be about 5 feet wide, about a queen width. So we'll probably use about 8 feet of it, and it can be cut down to size.
Yeah, there's little perforated lines between each layer of film, and you can cut along those lines and then there's like these little stickers, I guess, that kind of go over the leads on the ends, so you can cut it to whatever length you want.
This thing says that it's a quick install, same day install, so we're gonna put that to the test and see if we can get this thing in. We won't be hooking up the electrical component yet for the thermostat. We're going to save that for when we're hooking up the rest of our electrical, but we're gonna do the physical, like, flooring install aspect of it today.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a first step, we're going to clean out the floor of the van so that we have a clean surface to lay the mat down.
Okay, so the first thing I need to do is install this underlayment. It's designed for either glued or nailed down floors or floating floors like we have in our case. So the underlayment has great thermal properties, so it's going to provide an extra layer of insulation, as well as it's going to provide more sound deadening. And the main benefit of it for the heated floor system that we're using, and the reason that they ask you to use this in the instructions, is because you're going to be running sensor wires alongside your mat, and you don't want those sensors to be damaged. So if that sensor is raised up a little bit, you might crush it with your floor. But basically you cut a groove into the underlayment, lay the sensor in that groove, and then you tape it down. And that helps to provide a little bit more stability over the top of the sensor without damaging it. I've also seen some people use a router and router out a hole or like a groove in their floor. I don't think that's necessary, and especially using this stuff, I think it's gonna be fine. All right, Britt, what do we think?
I'm excited.
We have a brand new blue padded floor.
I'm really excited to get the finished floor in here because it's just starting to look more like further along.
Yeah. I agree. The more finishing touches that we put in here, just the overall better I feel about the entire build.
The higher morale we have knowing that there is an end in sight.
Yeah. For so long, you're just working on stuff that nobody's ever going to see.
Yeah.
And it just feels so unrewarding as opposed to something like the ceiling.
Yeah.
Or the floor or the walls. That's all pretty rewarding stuff. This stuff went in really pretty easily. You saw me working on it. I just rolled it out all the way, made sure there was like a little overlap, trimmed up the edges with my shears. not sure what those are. A good pair of shears does help though, because I tried using a box knife. Maybe it wasn't the best blade, but I still struggled to cut this stuff evenly and quickly, so shears were the best option. The duct tape isn't just me playing by ear or anything like that. The instructions actually call for duct tape to tape the seams together. And then these are the shears that we use. They're Fisker's Power Arc Pros.
We bought these for insulation, right?
Yeah.
Like really early on, and we've used them for like every step since.
I have used them almost every day out here for something.
Yeah.
But they come in so handy. Next, we get to lay down the mat and cut it to length and show you what it's gonna look like. Okay, so now that we have the underlayment put into place, it's time to lay the mat out and cut it to length. And then once we have the length figured out, all I'm gonna do is center it as well as I can with a tape measure. And that way it's not under any cabinetry on either side of the van or under the bed. Okay, so we've got the mat laid out in place. The tape measure back there kind of signifies where the bed is gonna be. We want a little bit of a gap between the pad and the bed so that we have room to run the wires. And up here at the front, we're gonna cut it probably about 3 inches shy of the end. And they give us these little yellow stickers. Basically, you tape these over the little bars here on both sides, and that just prevents any risk of electrical shock or damage. So pretty straightforward.
It's basically replacing this if you cut this part off.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's exactly what the manufacturer put. This is the same thing they put on the ends here.
I was correct. We ended up cutting off 2 feet, so we made our runway 8 feet long.
All right, so we went ahead and put the mat into place and kind of got it centered, and I went ahead and took some Gorilla Tape, taped it down so that it won't slide around in the van until we get the flooring in. And now the next step is to cut a groove into, or different grooves into the mat so that the cords can tuck nicely where the mat goes. So it'll be kind of inlaid inside of it, back into the garage area, then they can come up through the floor. Also, good news, this wire is stranded. So just like all the other wire in the van, the wires for this will be stranded as well. So definitely something that I was a little concerned about, but now I'm not. The other thing I have to do is install my 2 sensors, and I'm just gonna run one down each side of the mat, probably to about the middle, and we'll have to do the same exact process that we do with these wires as far as cutting out the grooves and then taping it down so that there's a nice flat, flush surface for the flooring to go on. Okay, so I've got my grooves cut out here for the 2 lead wires. As you can see, the wire fits nicely in there. It's pretty flush. And those are basically gonna go back over here behind the bed. Our command center for a lot of our stuff is gonna be right up here on the wall next to the bed, so we can access it easily at night from the bed or in the morning. Yeah, I've got my 2 lead wires done. All that's left to do is my 2 sensors. They're gonna be just like this, only they're gonna go down the length of the mat, about an inch or so away from the mat on both sides. That way, if one gets damaged, I just hook in the other one and I don't have to tear up the floor to access my sensors. And this has been time consuming. Trying to do this with a box knife, even with a fresh blade on it, just isn't cutting it. So what I've been doing actually is taking the scissors behind it and lifting up the mat once I get through it all the way and just cutting it out with the scissors because it goes so much faster. All right guys, we are the proud owners of a brand new heated floor system. Let me show it to you. So if I had to guess, I'd say it took about 2.5 to 3 hours of actually working on it. The most time consuming part was the underlayment, just because I had to cut around all the wheel wells and all the curvatures and different things in the van. And the other time consuming part was actually cutting the grooves for the wires. Like I said before, the box cutters didn't work super well with that. I actually ended up switching to the scissors again, just for cutting little grooves. It came out pretty good though. I'm pretty happy with it. I can walk on these wires with bare feet and I can't feel them. They're pretty well concealed. Plus, with the heated floor system, we get the added benefit of being able to heat the van even if it's just incrementally with a method other than propane, since we do have a propane heater that we will be installing later. So it's definitely nice to have multiple ways to heat the van. Worst case scenario, we run out of propane in the winter, it's cold out, you know, we can at least heat the floors and hopefully heat up some of the rest of the van with it as well. Alright guys, so that's gonna do it for this one. Please follow along next time to see the finished floor. Bye guys.